Morning, folks. Today's going to be a different kind of shave altogether. For one, I have a soap that has a scent to it. But this is about the ugly shaver video. I guess I'll go ahead and get started with the shaver. This is my Focus Slim aluminum, or AL if you will. I've already got a blade in there, and this particular blade, hopefully you can kind of see how much exposure it has there. It is a Euromax DE blade snapped in half, which that's what's recommended for this particular shaver, is to take a DE blade snapped in half as opposed to use one that's already pre-cut. You can most definitely tell that this is a modern design as opposed to anything based on a vintage or classic design, and does not weigh much at all. Like I say, it's made out of aluminum, and it is just a, you wouldn't think the balance would be there, but it is. It's a pretty nice shaver. It's one that I like. I know Shave Butcher, he ugly shaver. It's a modern design, so that may not fit everybody's cup of tea. At any rate, this may be a long video because my choice today, because I finally got it in after waiting forever and a day, is I have soap here in this container, Tabac, and this is my first time using it, and it's very wet, if you can see that, and it's a very unique scent. What I'm used to using throughout all the soaps that I don't have anything that smells like this one. So if you're looking for something off the beaten path or whatever, this just might be your soap, and have fun finding it in stock. I find, you know, a number of places where they have it, but most of them are out of stock, so it was a bit of a chore getting all that lined out. And it was easier for me to find, believe it or not, than the matching aftershave. I've had this one for a while now, and finally just got the soap. Also, already put a hot towel to the face this morning, and I'm still using the Proraso Preshave. And before I forget, like I usually do, my beard oil is Vato. And I'll try to remember to put a link down below if you're interested with beard oil that I use off camera. And the matter of fact, it's been fun this morning. The brush I'm using comes from the Heritage Collection. This one here, I like these kind of handles. Long handles, pretty nice. My lathering is going to be interesting this morning, because the more I try to lather from the puck, which is darn near at the top, the more of a mess I was making. So might be a certain amount of face lathering maybe. I'm not sure how this is going to work out this morning. And yesterday's brush, Crown King Troubadour, this is to give you some kind of idea what kind of difference there is in the shape and size of the brush. This one here is definitely a much smaller brush. For me, I think it's fantastic for traveling. Synthetic knot dries out pretty quick, but I enjoy that little knot. I can whip up lather pretty easy with it. Oh, and to show you what the blade looks like, here's the box that I got when I ordered this a while back, Euromax, and I saw Frank using the Euromax, so I thought I'd give it a try. I've never used one before. This is what it's wrapped in, and the other part of the blade's still in there. All right, I'm going ahead and, oh, I should mention that if you're not familiar with Tabac, like for me, this is the first time go. I just finally got it in day before yesterday. It came with this aluminum tinfoil just placed inside on top of the soap, and this is the lid. Now this lid does not seal up the container by any means, it just sits right on top. So there's something, if you're wanting to know, in other words, how well does it seal up, help keep the scent in and that sort of thing, it just rests right on top there. Not saying that you probably couldn't find what I would call an O-ring to go around here so that it helps seal it up or something of the sort. It might be possible to find something of the sort, but it does not necessarily airtight seal. In other words, lid just rests on there. So it's going to, you know, shake about and whatnot, so you want to be kind of careful when you're moving it about. It might just come on off for you. All right, well, this is going to be interesting. because the more I was working with the soap, the more of a mess I was making. So I thought maybe I might be able to work up a face lather of sorts or something. We'll see how this is going to work. This particular shaver, if you're unfamiliar with a Focus, it's a pretty easy going shaver. I mean, in that it's already got the bevel set for you. So finding the angle, it does help you with some guidance there. The toe and the heel of the blade is somewhat covered. Kind of helps in that aspect. I'll put a scent profile also, I'm sorry, for this soap down below, because there's no way I can describe it outside. It's very unique. To me, it smells good. It does bring back, you know, from that, I guess you might say, that yesteryear time period. I don't remember anything that I have that matches this scent or comes close. At least not to my nose, which is probably different than yours. Yeah, I think I might be able to make do with what's on the brush. I will say I did pop the soap out of the container, and I was thinking about doing that ahead of time, but by the time you whip up the lather and so on and so forth, the video starts to get kind of lengthy. But the top part of the soap is bigger around than the bottom part, I guess you might say, to help set it down in there. And if once you know you get it and you pop that that soap out of there, you can kind of see how it sets down in there. But boy, it's a good sized chunk of soap that's in there. Don't think I'm going to run out anytime soon. Here we go. Now Frank had he started out with a Tiger Platinum, and I have some of those blades, and I bought some quite some time ago, but they were like in a yellow and red pack, and those shave just fine. Then I've found some that were in a red pack. Well, those are carbon, and I didn't have quite the luck with those. So I still have the other Platinum, but I decided to go with Euromax after seeing Frank's video. Even though off the top of the puck it was pretty wet, I could probably still to whip it up just a little wetter. In other words, to the face lather. I'm just looking at how this is looking coming on the shavette here. It's rinsing off pretty easy, so it's not too terribly dry. Thought it was wetter than that. Should mention happy or enjoy your Memorial Day. It's in the morning here in Oklahoma. Rain, flash flood watches today. Kind of typical around here around Memorial Day. If it's not a flood, it's a thunderstorm, tornadoes. Usually happens around Memorial Day. That seems to be typical around here. I guess you might say a very active, I don't know if you can see that or not, because that light coming off of there might be too much of a glare. Like I say, it's not too terribly wet. Not the driest lather I've whipped up. Maybe the next pass I'll do it different. We typically have a active weather pattern here in Oklahoma around this time of the year, so planning outdoor activities are usually better be prepared to be fluid, react to whatever is going on. I have to say the blade's working out rather well. Can't complain a bit about it. Glad I watched Frank's video. The like I said, I guess you might say those tiger blades, after I tried those ones in the red pack that were carbon, and they were just, I was like Frank, I couldn't finish the shave with the blade. I had to swap it out, and I'd never done a video with it, but those blades are, for me, just weren't quite cutting the mustard. And if you're, excuse me, relatively new to shavette shaving, for me, these creases, and especially with the shavette, it helps to ever so slightly different angle. In other words, not straight on to these creases. If I approach it with a different, just a little bit of an angle, helps keep me from getting caught in one of these creases, especially right through here. Seems to be my worst spot as it goes for getting caught. In other words, me transitioning from coming straight down to at least adjusting just a little bit of an angle there. Something I still need to work on from time to time. Depends on the shaver. And especially if you got facial hair, and or if you're like me, not a real big guy, you don't have a whole lot of area to cover a shave head or a blade that's long, that's shorter than like 3 inches or even 2.5. Might work better for you. Easier to maneuver around the face. See if I can add just a little bit of water to the tips here. These brushes are really, it handles like this. You can kind of see how it works. I really enjoy these larger handles, but I do try to, like the Crown King, make sure I stay used to using those, because anytime you do travel, in other words, I'd rather have a smaller handle on my kit. It would be nice to take something like this, of course, but yeah, it does take up a little bit more room. Scent strength coming off the puck might be, maybe a 6 or a 7, depending on your nose, maybe closer to a 7. When I was lathering, the scent, as a matter of fact, right now, the scent is still very much present. So if you like a stronger scented soap, this would definitely be up your alley, I think. I did have my wife give it a good smell to see what she thought of it off the puck. And she thought it had a like a talcum powder type scent to it, which to a degree I thought maybe my nose was picking that up too, but this morning when I was lathering, the more I noticed that wasn't necessarily the case. So it might be through the lathering process, what you first smell off the puck, and then when you start lathering you might pick up a different scent. At least that's been my experience. I would have to say, excuse me, if you're, that soap puck that's in there is pretty good size. It seems like it's going to last forever. So if you're looking for soap that's going to last a good long moment, this just might be what you're looking for. I mean, it's fairly deep down in there. This is a lot of fun to use, in my opinion, because it's so lightweight. Balance is not a problem, just seems to come naturally. Not anything in the way of major adjustments or anything noticeable for me. Now there's I think West Coast Shaving sells these. The Superior Shave, and I think there's one other, I can't remember right off the top of my head, that might sell these. Not only comes in aluminum, I think there's a stainless steel one that's out and about. Comes in different colors. So if you like a little bit of pop in your shave in the way of colors, think there's like red, black, aluminum, this green, gold, fuchsia, I think. Also, depending if they're excuse me, in stock. These are made in Italy, so you can imagine the supply chain is probably a little bit disrupted. So finding the color, if whatever your favorite vendor happens to be out of stock, you may end up having to wait a while to get the color you want. It would not be fair, considering my past two shaves were with Crown King CK6, to compare the two, because from what I understand, as it goes for any tweaking with the Tabac soap has been scent related as opposed to base soap related. And I think the website I was looking at, 2014 was the last time it had been tweaked, I think. And so in other words, if you're expecting performance of CK6 with Tabac, you know, you're going to be disappointed. It's more of a, I guess you might say, a vintage soap. Nothing wrong with it. It's just it's not nowhere near as slick as CK6, which is, you know, that's reaching out there. There's nothing wrong with the soap, though. Soap's fine. I have a tendency to be able to relate to this kind of soap performance more so. I guess you might say I know how to adjust to it. Has a lot to do with how you add water to it, adjust it to your liking. Face doesn't feel dried out, feels moisturized, it's slick, it's smooth. Face feels good. The scent strength off the soap, what's left, it's not quite as strong. So if you were deciding to use a different aftershave, maybe doing something in the way of a complement that works together, I could see that working out all right for you. I think I forgot to show these this morning. The the lathering did throw me off, because I was looking at it this morning. It's like, I don't know how I'm going to be able to do this like I usually do. First of all, I had to get past the hurdle of trying to build a lather in the container. And since the soap does come out pretty easy, it just pops right out. I can clean the container up and dry the soap off, and I don't have to worry too much about anything nasty growing in the bottom of it, hiding where you can't see it. Did get my angle off just a little bit. I noticed it right through here. A little bit of stinging right there. Still got the Humphreys witch hazel. It's starting to get kind of low. We're getting very close to very warm temperatures here. Warm, in other words, we're going to start hitting 90s. I think today is 75. Yesterday was 85. But we're starting to get more to that summer type temperatures. So I'm thinking I might switch up and use a Preshave cube, Phoenix Artisan accoutrements, as well as changing my witch hazel up to something that's mentholated. Face feels good though. Have to give it that. I mean, it does a good job keeping your face moisturized and feeling nice. I think there's a bigger container of this floating around somewhere. I never did run across it. Maybe I'm just not traveling in the right circles. I will mention that this lid, I don't know if this camera's going to be able to pick it up. See if you can see the inside. See how that in the middle, it goes right inside the restrictor here to help seal it up. And that's what it looks like there. So now that I did all that, I'm going to shake it up. It's got a small restrictor, so it's not going to come gushing out, so it looks like I'm going to have to shake it pretty good in order to get some aftershave out. This combination's been around, I think, what was it, 1959? If that gives you, if you, in other words, if you have never bought it, never smelled it or anything of the sort, for it to stick around that long, and it has to be pretty decent, I guess you might say. I'm glad I've got it, that's for sure. These containers, I do appreciate the glass. To me, it just adds to the class. Kind of feels kind of stately, in other words. Suit and tie type thing. Kind of waiting for a little bit of the dry down, trying to see if I can pick up different notes in my nose this morning. Oh, here of late, it's been really problematic. Yesterday, lady next door was mowing her grass out front. No more stepped out the front door, and it's just like it just hit my nose, and I'm about ready to start sneezing. Yeah, it's that kind of time of the year. Smells great. I cannot put my finger on. I'll try to put a scent profile down below. That'd probably be a better way of describing it. Face feels pretty good. Had a great shave this morning. I agree with Frank. These blades in a shavette work pretty well. May have to use one in a DE here pretty soon. Maybe this coming Sunday. Hope everybody's enjoying their Memorial Day weekend. Everybody stay safe, healthy, and smooth shaves to you.